and ultimately became the 41st President of the United States. Now, turning to the story about Nikola Tesla. It was none other than George A. Scherf, Sr., who was Nikola Tesla's assistant and monitored his work closely. The death of Tesla is shrouded in mystery, but he did not die of natural causes. He died alone in his one-room apartment filled with notes and research papers, which included death weapons and other advanced technologies. All of this was removed when he died. But the great loss was Tesla's tower technology, which to this day remains under wraps by Tier 1 science groups and their controllers, the European bankers. Now the story of Tesla. You've probably all heard that Scherf was implicated. What you didn't know was Scherf was the Bush that we talk about, George H. Bush Sr., before the name change. There is a false story being propagated, though, regarding Tesla Tower in text and internet misinformation pages and even Hollywood movies, which includes Tesla. It is said his tower was to be used for transmitting power. This is absolutely not true. Tesla had already sold his rights to the designs, and all that went into it, including the wiring and the grid distribution system, to Westinghouse. So exactly where was Tesla supposed to get the power to transmit? Yet again, completely fabricated misinformation, Tier 2 fairy tale science story, pawned off on the unsuspecting public to cover the fact that the tower was supposed to collect energy from the vertical electrical field for free, providing free energy to all forever, eliminating all the need to burn oil and its derivatives like gasoline, plus the burning of coal and nuclear fuel to create electricity. None of this was ever needed. So around the turn of 19th century, 1900s, many electric cars were being manufactured. Tesla himself had an electric car with his three-phase motor engine. That was the future, but it was blocked from seeing the light of day by bankers who would not make a profit on a car that can run on free energy and had no maintenance costs, since engines could literally run forever with only a change in contact brushes. Compare this to what you're driving today. Compare this to several of the electric cars from that time that are still fully functional. So you're probably wondering, but what does this have to do with water? Actually, everything. Because it is the same group of mentally corrupt bankers that own and control energy and force the public to pay outrageous prices for what should be commonly held natural resource are now in the position to do this with water. At the forefront of this is George Bush, the ex-president, working through Canadian businesses right now and other entities to control the rights of the water around the world. One such case put him in charge of water projects on the border of Argentina and Brazil that would flood out thousands of indigenous peoples there and make way for a dam reservoir project that would secure water control in the most populous area of South America. This is distinct from the acquisition of the land in Paraguay that caps the South American massive underground water aquifer that holds the future of South America's water rights and distribution. I put up several articles today, and there are many around that talk about the impending water source shortages on the planet Earth. Please remember this. There is no water shortage any more than there is an energy shortage. It is a water management problem, and a well-orchestrated one. And when it affects you, and you are paying more per gallon for water than you are for gasoline, and you try to do something about it, remember also all the layers of agencies and governments and courts and international corporations and interpretations on the evening news are all diversions from allowing you to see the real problem. The real problem is the banker consortium that has all the chips in place to control and distribute water, and there is literally nothing you can do about it, because they also own, from the top down perspective, all layers that stand in between you and them. They even have laws in place now to prevent you from gathering rainwater that falls from the clouds. And we have talked about this. They are getting all their ducks in a row and have all the angles already covered. One thing I have to mention is the fact that gathering of data on the world's resources was not done overnight. It was done by professionals hired to do this job. Just as with oil industry that scoured the earth for oil deposits and cataloged them all for future reserves, so too scientists were hired and provided this valuable information to the controllers. This information is not available to the public at any price. My point is, the world controllers would be helpless to do any of this if it were not for highly paid scientists who sold their souls to the devil, knowing full well that they were providing secret information that would be used to control water, just as the geologists who discovered the world oil reserves knew that this information would be used for the sole profit of their employers, and which would not be used for the benefit of mankind in general. With 99.999% of all scientists working for the government, the control of science is the essential ingredient for worldwide control. Tier 1 science, bought and paid for by the upper echelon bankers and the scientists, live under the threat of death and unspeakable results if they break rank and inform the public. Tier 2, generally completely unaware of the higher level of science out there that sits above them, and are content to travel around the world on their scientific vacations to resort locations and watch people dance in the cooch and giving meaningless talks at all the planned symposiums and publish the results, all peer-reviewed, prestigious journals about science that have nothing to do with reality. But they get their paycheck every week, and they get to use good equipment, as I've said, where we are lied to completely. And they have a nice retirement at the end of life. So life is good, with little or no thought required by these scientists. Monopoly, my friends, breeds power, and power inevitably corrupts. We have seen this. Iron industry, energy industries, as well as the military industrial industries, which controls the critical resources from precious metals to toilet paper. We have seen this with space industries fueled by the space race. We have seen it all in all the other industries, from old timber barons to diamond industries. Now put on your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen, because something you always have taken for granted, water, is already being divided up, prepared for by the government distribution. This would not be possible unless a false sense of scarcity could be created. Herein lies the crux of the issue here, central to the patently false concept of climate change. In spite of the fact that water H2O is the most abundant molecule on this planet, and over 75% of the Earth's surface is covered in this water. You are being told that there is not enough. There is a shortage. The public has been primed to be gullible enough to swallow this bizarre and outrageous lie. Here's when Tier 2 science comes into play. To feed you the bill of goods, that there is not enough. Tier 1, high-level military science, of course, that you never see. They use cover of darkness, often referred to as black ops, under the banner of national security. That's why everything is now under that banner. There could be nothing further from the truth here. Since all advanced nations very quickly receive the same technologies with the linked Tier 1 levels of science, reality is that the world banking controllers have known since the beginning of man's quest for governance that it has always been eminently important to keep the public very, 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 very stupid regarding the science and real workings of this planet. Almost immediate transfer of new or advanced technologies from one advanced country to another has been going on for a long time. This is the banking technique of keeping themselves in control, since a nation imbalance in power would mean that a more powerful nation could fight the bankers, who really do not have defenses. Their only real control mechanism is to 1. Keep their names secret, and 2. Move support to all nations and keep them in a constant state of war or near war. Now remember the 50 years Cold War between Russia and US? So that if it gets out of line, the bankers can quickly throw support to the other side. And in this manner, they keep control of the world governments. Presidents are minions who are told to follow orders and read from a script. Middle managers in a much larger control scheme. Barbara Walters of NBC News once interviewed President Ronald Reagan and commented, "Why does he not resign or rein in the Fed?" He laughed as if to say, "You stupid," and you can imagine, and stated that the Fed was anonymous and that he had nothing to do with them. The Fed is an anonymous entity run by European bankers, as we've been going on and on about. Quite conversely, they run the U.S. federal government by loaning it money, rather than the constitutional directive for Congress to create the money. As the expression goes, Congress is just window dressing. They are only there to give the illusion that they are running something. They are told how to vote. They are told what to think, what to say, how to say it, and the reward is a huge benefit package and sex and women or boys, depending on their liking, and a guaranteed lifetime job with any company that they helped out during their tenure in federal office. Control would not be possible with an educated public. The American public fits the bill perfectly, as do most. No offense. I'm counting myself in. United States right now is the most educated, stupid people in the world. 95% have no freaking clue. Although we're not doing much better, as Canada goes. But all manner of diversions, right, are placed in front of us. And like fish in a pond, or lab rats in a cage, we take the bait. Hook, line, sinker. Fortunate part is that extreme poverty and suffering exist everywhere, all due to these policies of the World Bank, with the absconded resources going to U.S. markets where Americans will